I am fantastic, my friend.
Awesome.
I couldn't be any better. In fact, my 13-year-old son just told me a few hours ago. He said, "Dad, you're in a good mood today." And when I'm not in a good mood, it's not a lot of fun for people, and I hate that about myself. But
Yeah.
I said, "Why do you think that is?" He said, "Because I noticed you've been talking laundromats all day."
Uh,
I said, "Yeah, talking laundromats does make me happy." And he was like, "Yeah, unless you're talking to bozos."
yeah. Oh man. Sorry, I'm about
Thir
to ruin
thir
it for you then.
13-year-olds, they're honest. What can we say?
They are honest. I know.
So, yeah. So my voice is a little rough. I've been on the phone all day helping coaching clients, but he is right. I enjoy it. I enjoy it. So
Yeah.
how's Cali? Hmm?
Oh, Cali is good. I mean, it's
All
a
you
little hot here.
pretty men and pretty women and
Yeah.
everybody's all pretty out there.
Everybody is beautiful out here. It's true. And that's why they keep getting me out all the time. So no, we're good, man. We're cruising. You know, it's been a little warm, but not too bad. And oh, Brian Henderson, what is going on?
I
Howdy,
guess
howdy.
he's I guess Brian's trying to get his title back as the first after he skipped out on us a few months ago.
That's right. You
So
win. You're
we
back
were
in, Brian.
we
Back
go
in our
we go bragging about Brian and how he's always the first one in, and then he let us down.
I know the
But
one time.
he messaged me and told me he had a good excuse. I can't remember what it was, but it was good.
Doesn't
But
sound that
welcome,
good.
Brian. We appreciate you being here, and the people in the comments are going to be better for it. So thanks for joining us, bud. We appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and welcome to everyone else too. Feel free to introduce yourself there in the chat while we are waiting for a couple people to show up. But that, I mean, honestly, that's gonna bring you the most value is meeting the people in the chat. Stacy, how's it going? Uh,
Stacy, how you doing?
Brian, just off a plane in Nashville. Nice.
I
Dude,
just flew in from Nashville. I
I
bet his
love
arms are
Nashville.
tired.
Oh,
But
oh man, it's gonna be one of those kind of
it
nights,
is.
huh?
It's going to be one of those nights.
That's
I
awesome.
might be a little slap happy.
Yeah, so make sure you introduce yourself over there. And ooh, trade show for the POS and payment industry. That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, I want to hear about that at some point.
Definitely.
Yeah.
A trade show for the POS and payments industry. I didn't know that was an industry.
I didn't know it was either, and I didn't know there was a trade show. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I assume this was in person if he flew to Nashville. That's pretty cool that in-person events are happening.
Yeah.
That's actually exciting.
Yeah. Well, welcome, guys. Make sure you introduce yourself in the chat. Dave and I are both keeping our eye on that chat. That is where we will get questions from. So if you have questions, start getting them in the chat there, and we will.
Hey, Tyler. Thanks for joining us, man. Tyler is I'm going to tell you who Tyler is. He's the guy that runs the, for everybody listening, Tyler does the 20% podcast. I was a guest on it a while back. And he, I don't know, might be tooting my own horn a little bit here, but Tyler told me after the interview, but now he was pumped up and wanted to own a laundromat. So maybe he wasn't kidding. I thought he was just trying to make me feel good about myself, but maybe he's actually, maybe he's seriously thinking about it. I guess I have a pretty good sales pitch, huh? Best small business in America.
That's it. Hey, Tyler, if you're going to follow in
Thanks for doing
anybody's footsteps, Dave and Laundromat Millionaire Menz is a good one to follow. Make sure you're getting those questions in there. We'll be answering those questions real quick. And welcome to James, also the Laundry Room team. I love that. Laundromat Talk Time. Excited. Daryl, what's going on too? And Kevin in Alabama. All right. One day, Tyler says one day. That's what I'm talking about.
Oja.
I like that.
He's a good dude. You'll do a great job. I have no doubt about that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hey, James, thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate it. And Daryl jumps in from Palm Beach Lakes Laundry. And it's a good thing he told us that was Daryl because I wouldn't have known. You might have. Would you have known?
Well, I mean, he dropped in the Beast Coast, so
yeah,
I mean, it's kind of a
giveaway.
Dead giveaway.
That's a giveaway that it's Daryl. Hey, we're killing it now. Hey, Trenton, how are you, buddy? Sean, thanks for joining us from Illinois. What part of Illinois are you in, Sean? You in Chicago, the big windy city, or?
I was just reading a Facebook post. I can't remember if it was on the Laundromat Millionaire Facebook
Probably
group,
was. They have a
or
lot of really good stuff on that group from what I
it's
hear.
so good. If you guys aren't on the Laundromat Millionaire Facebook group, go jump on that. And also, if you have not subscribed to Dave's Laundromat Millionaire YouTube channel yet, go subscribe. He is like, it's like that close to breaking that 1,000 subscriber milestone, which really is not a huge deal, but it is kind of mentally. And you put all this work in, you make all these videos, you're trying to help people. And that is an awesome way to say thank you to Dave for all the work that he does here on the lives, all the videos he's making, all the content he's putting out there. Go subscribe to that YouTube channel. You will not regret it. It will benefit you much more than it benefits Dave emotionally, which is pretty much all it will benefit you, to be honest.
That's all right. Hey, I'm an emotional creature. Just ask my wife.
That's right.
Sean's from St. Louis. All right, cool. Well, thanks for joining us. Hey, Chris, that name sounds familiar. I think from the Facebook groups.
Yeah, Chris, what are you making for dinner?
In and out making dinner.
Yeah, what's for dinner? Hope you're making enough for all of us.
I was just getting ready to say that. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, well,
it's a little early for dinner for you, isn't it?
Yeah,
like a dinner.
I'll be ready by the end of this thing, Chris. You got like an hour and a half. I'm expecting like a gourmet something or other.
Right.
Hey, get those questions rolling in. Dave, I got a question for you. I was thinking about earlier today, actually, for you. Because I know that you have got obviously you have an awesome Laundromat Millionaire brand. I know your book is coming out pretty soon. And that's not a secret, is it?
No,
that it's coming out.
Not.
Okay, good. Okay. I got scared for a second that I was gonna.
Sorry, you can't have dinner with Chris because you're a vegan, right?
Oh,
He's having cheeseburger, meatballs, and sweet potato fries.
Sweet potato fries. All right. Look at you go. That sounds like a gourmet dinner. All right. So I was thinking about all your brand and your book coming out, all this stuff that you have going on. I know there's a lot more that you're working on too. And I was wondering, I'm going to put you on the spot just a little bit. If you were not Dave, the Laundromat Millionaire Menz, and you couldn't own laundromats, what other business do you think you would? I mean, you're destined to be an entrepreneur, that's for sure. So what other business do you think that you would own if not laundromats? Or if you had to get rid of laundromats?
Oh my gosh. I don't even have an answer. I honestly, I have no idea. Like this is who I am. It's not what I do. It's who I am. I mean, I would definitely, especially if I couldn't be in the laundromat business for some reason, there is no doubt about it. I would still be an entrepreneur. I would never, you couldn't pay me $1 million an hour to go be an employee in a business after being free and being an entrepreneur for all these years. So I would definitely be a business owner. I don't know. I mean, I'll probably take some cop out as like the car wash business or something.
Yeah. Well, you are merging into the car wash business.
I am. That's absolutely right. I get to learn a whole new industry, and I don't plan on doing it wrong. I mean, it's not going to be my primary source of revenue by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm going to try to learn how to do it right. So I'm going to be looking for the car wash millionaire to teach me a few things. Actually, kind of cool because there's a lot of people in our industry that are also in the car wash industry.
Yeah. Are you in that Facebook group that's laundromat owner and car wash?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called. Something like that.
Yeah. I'm in that. And I posted a couple of questions on there about the car wash business. And I had 4 or 5 people that knew who I was that messaged me and made comments about me getting in the car wash business. And one of them even is, I think he lives a couple hours from here in Indiana. And he said, I'm willing to have a call with you for no charge, give you some tips. I can connect you with a good equipment distributor in the Cincinnati area. So appreciate that, guys. If you guys know anything about laundromat or know anything about car washes, I don't, but I'm looking to learn. And the entrepreneurial tribe out there, you guys are reaching out to me and helping me learn that business. So I appreciate it. But yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Well, I mean, real quick, since we're on the subject, Daryl's asking, how's your latest project progressing? How's it going so far, your build? Or maybe give a quick recap for anybody who doesn't know what you're working on and tell us how it's going.
Yeah, so I'm building a 9,000 square foot laundromat, laundry center over in Amelia, Ohio, on the east side of Cincinnati. Bought the property. It's got a 4-bay car wash on it, which is kind of what me and Jordan were just talking about. It was about a third laundromat and about 2/3 dry cleaning in the building, and we're gutting it, making it a big, nice, modernized laundromat with all Hipsh touch equipment. So I'm excited about that. It's going to have Ozone. It's going to have 12-foot aisles. Lots of great equipment, all hard mount 200G stuff, reversing dryers, you name it. It has it. We're not going cheap at all, I guess I should say. But anyway, so that's what Jordan's referring to. But yeah, we're moving along. I'll be making a video next week about our progress. We got all the demo done. Place is gutted down to the studs, and my architect is tweaking a few things for me. So we're not doing much this week, but we already got the ceiling exposed, and we got the ceilings type painted black, and so we're going with the open concept. And then we got the building painted, the whole outside of the building, painted it like a light gray, painted the awning a black. So I've had a few update videos on that, but I'll have a few more. And then actually my equipment distributor, it's kind of crazy. I just bought the place like a month ago, and my equipment distributor, HM company here in Cincinnati, called me the other day and they said, your equipment's being delivered in 9 days. And I was like, well, I'm not ready for it, but I got room for it.
You're like the only person in the world who's getting their equipment that fast.
Hey,
that's crazy.
I talk about how I do it all the time. It's not a secret, folks. You got to take care of other people, treat other people the right way, and they will take care of you. No doubt about it. I've been doing that for 11 and a half, 12 years. So yeah, no, it's great to have good people and an amazing team, and an equipment distributor is a big part of that. Now, obviously not all equipment distributors are great, but anyway, yeah, so we're killing it, man. You guys are bringing the questions.
Yeah, I'm jotting them down.
Yeah. All right.
Really
let's jump in and help some people. I've been rambling long enough, but thanks for asking.
Well, you're going to keep rambling this whole time.
Hey, Ty,
I know that.
Good to see you. How many, I guess I'll just answer that question if you want. How many machines are you putting in the new store?
Yeah.
I don't have it in front of me, but let me run down it for you. I'm putting 480s, 860s, 1240s, 1030s, and I could be wrong on this, but I think 820s. And then a proportionate amount of 75-pound dryers and 45-pound stacks, and then a few 30-pound stacks. I think like 5 30-pound stacks. So yeah, pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's jump into, real quick. There was one other question about that. I forget. I think maybe Daryl asked, or somebody asked, why Hipsh over Speed Queen? Is there any, I know you love Hipsh machines.
Yeah. I don't make any secret about it. I think Hipsh and Speed Queen are basically the same machine.
Yeah, they are.
I think anybody that knows much about the industry knows that at this point. Just different. It's kind of like a GMC pickup truck and a Chevy pickup truck. They're just sister brands. I don't honestly think there's any difference really. But yeah, my equipment distributor is HM company in Cincinnati, Ohio. They're an amazing distributor. Steve Millman, one of the owners, is one of my good friends at this point. And I've been doing business with them for 12 years, and they treat me really well. I've probably bought at this point, probably close to $3 million in equipment from them. And they have treated me like gold the entire time, even when I was nobody and had no money. And they just wanted to help me be successful, and they were in it for the long term. And they have made, I could go on and on for days about all the sacrifices they've made. And once again, it's easy to treat a customer well when you're where I am now, but I had no money, and they gave me, they did things for me that a distributor, doesn't too often do for a customer, with no guarantee of ever being paid back, because I was tapped out. They have just treated me like gold. So yeah, if they switched to Speed Queen, I'd be buying Speed Queen. But yeah, I believe Hipsh and Speed Queen are a very similar machine. And yeah, I've bought a lot of them, and I'm very happy with them. So no reason to change what's not broken, right?
Yep. So you're buying the machine, but you're really buying the distributor.
Not even debatable.
Yeah.
Not even questionable. They could sell ABC laundry equipment tomorrow, and that's what I'd be buying.
Yeah.
And he knows that, because my relationship is that important to me, and not because he's my friend. He just happens to be my friend. But yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, interesting question came in from Brian. He asked if we had any experience or we have any advice on generational succession planning with laundromats, like parents selling their laundromats to kids, that kind of thing.
Well, I'm not real sure. I mean, I'm certainly not an attorney. I'm actually working through this right now myself, believe it or not. I don't know that if I have any advice for you. I have thoughts and opinions, I guess. Because I have boys that are 13 and 11, and the 13-year-old is pretty much a mini me. So I'd be surprised if he doesn't someday run our businesses when I'll never retire, but when I slow down a little, maybe. And so, I have two trains of thought there. One, build your business so that if your kids don't ever want to run the businesses, they don't have to feel pressured. Because I don't want my kids to ever feel pressured. And so we have a very intentional exit strategy that includes my children if they were to take advantage of it, and it can just as easily not include my children. But it's one of the benefits of really knowing the industry so well is if I sell the business to my kids, I can mentor and coach them through the process. I can own the real estate. They can pay me rent. We'll probably give them a little bit of a deal or daddy finance or something like that, maybe, but they're not going to be given anything unless me and my wife are gone. So as long as we're alive, they're not going to be given anything other than maybe a little bit better opportunity. But we're not just going to hand them all the businesses or anything like that. So I don't know if that's what you're looking for, Brian. I know that's not a real deep dive on succession planning. But it's actually something we're going through right now, and we're a little bit nervous just because of the age of our kids. Our daughter's 23 and married, but she doesn't really have a whole lot to do with the businesses anymore. And our boys are 11 and 13. So one of the things that kind of goes through our mind right now is, man, if something happened to us right now, my boys aren't really old enough to take over or know anything about it. And there wouldn't really be anyone there to teach them. So those are the kind of things that are kind of going through our mind as we speak. But
yeah, I mean, I think that's good input, and especially I like the kids aren't going to be given anything unless you guys are gone, except for maybe some opportunities. And I think that's key. I've looked a little bit into some generational planning, not just with the businesses and our real estate investments and stuff, but also just thinking a little bit more long term and how to structure some of that stuff. And obviously, talking with a good lawyer and a good CPA are going to help you figure out the structuring and what kind of trusts you need to set up and those kinds of things. But I'm sorry, I'm dog sitting my sister-in-law's dogs right now, and they're yapping like crazy.
I thought it was the monkey on your head. I thought the monkey might be barking.
No, gosh, man, it's driving me nuts. But anyways, so obviously talk to a good lawyer and a good CPA. But, one of the things that I try to do is think even beyond my kids' generations and thinking, okay, well, how do you set this up? And this is like the big question for anybody, right? And you can pretty much look at any wealthy family, and I wouldn't put myself in those categories by any means, but look at any wealthy family and the wealth's pretty much dissipated or been spent after 3 generations at the most, right? Usually it's the next generation. And a big part of that is because the skills that you learn that get you to a place where you can be successful and manage, not just the money, but also what got you the money, which is the businesses, are born out of struggle, right? And born out of failures. And a lot of times what we do as parents is shield our kids from those struggles and failures when, in reality, I think, and again, this is easier said than done, but in reality, I think introducing our kids to meaningful struggle to help them learn and grow and fail and helping them and communicating with them through those failures, is not the financial side of the generational succession plan, but it is a way to set your kids up for success. So whether they take over your businesses or investments after you're gone and can be successful with that, or if they go their own direction and whatever that might be, they can still be successful because they've had that opportunity to struggle and fail and learn and grow, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. There are definitely some built-in advantages my children have, and probably some built-in disadvantages that they have. I actually there was a time where I thought my upbringing was a tremendous disadvantage, and in many ways it was. But when I look back on those disadvantages, I actually at 45, I see actually a bunch of advantages. I have advantages in the fact that it is burned into my mind until the day I die that I'll never be given anything and I will have to scrap. I have what I call the Tom Brady mentality. Like I'll never quit fighting. I can have 30 Super Bowl trophies and I will never stop believing I'm the underdog. And that is burned into my spirit at this point because of my upbringing. And that's a good thing. Like my kids don't have that. And so that's a disadvantage for them. And so, yeah, my wife tells me I'm a little bit tough on my boys sometime, and I probably am. But it's because, I want them to be successful and I want them to be the best version of themselves. So yeah, probably the biggest advantage they might have if I'm around long enough is, maybe some free coaching.
Yeah.
And I think they already get a little
coaching. Come on.
I think they already get a little bit more coaching than they want. Sometimes they're like, Dad, stop talking.
Yeah. Well, it's funny when my kids start parroting back even sometimes they'll hear me on coaching or consulting calls. And then, a day or two later, something will come up and they'll repeat something that I said. And I'm like, are you coaching me right now? It's pretty funny.
Yeah, mine do that too. And now my wife, as you know, she's starting to throw out all kinds of catchphrases about the industry. Yeah, it's funny. They pick up this stuff whether they want to or not. I just want to say something. Mike Morris is joining us. Hey, Mike, from New Brunswick, Canada. And I just want to make a comment about Mike because Mike, I obviously have never met you, but I appreciate you. And the reason I say that is he is probably one of the most interactive, supportive, I don't even know what they're called. Part of my tribe is what I consider you. I mean, I'm always trying to post inspirational things and comments and questions and videos and podcasts. And, I'm aware that there's a bunch of people reading these and watching these. But a lot of times the work that Jordan and I do can be pretty thankless. And sometimes you can wonder how many people are listening or how much it's helping. And Mike is just really, really active with the keyboard, and encouraging me and telling me how grateful he is for a particular podcast that came out or whatever. So Mike, I just want to say thank you because I do see those things. And it does mean a lot to me. We all need encouragement from each other. And there's many, many people that do that. But Mike, you're on a rampage lately, my friend. And I very much appreciate that support. So anyway, I just wanted to let him know that. Yeah.
Well, Mike, you tell us what needs to happen in order for you to take that next step. Because you said you got to start taking action soon. So you tell us what you need.
Being called out in the comments.
Let's get you going, man. Because, and I say this all the time on my podcast, but it's, you can learn and plan and all of that, and none of that will get you to your goals. It's the action. The action is really the only thing that matters. And you want your action to be backed by your learning and your research and your planning and all that stuff. But action's what's going to get you to your goal. So keep at it, Mike. Thanks for making us international also in our live Q&A here. And man, let us know how we can help you out. Okay, Let's keep going. Do you use a software or anything with your Wi-Fi to have people check in to use Wi-Fi and collect that data at all?
I do not. And Brian Henderson, since you're in the comments, if you can post about this. I know Brian has set up his family's laundromats pretty successfully with that. And I'm sure he'll quickly jump in on that because he's got some good information. I have not. I've looked into it a few times, and honestly, I didn't want to be pigeonholed into just Facebook. So I've been looking at other ways to do things. And, honestly, I need to make a decision and do something because right now I don't have anything like that. And we don't even collect that data or anything like that. But yeah, I think it's a good idea. And it's something that, it's a weakness in my business that I know I can do better with. But hopefully Brian will comment something because I know he's set his up pretty nice at his stores. My understanding is people have to check in on Facebook and I don't know, maybe even leave a review, or maybe it just asks them to leave a review. before they can connect to his Wi-Fi. And so I think that's a pretty cool thing. And if you're running a great business, you know, putting that review in front of somebody's face is usually going to work pretty well for you. Hey, Sean, how are you, buddy? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, we need to get Sean on like a negotiation team over here. He just negotiated seller financing with 0% interest. Man, that's like free money right there. Look at that.
Heck, anything less than 5% is free money with inflation the way it is.
I know.
What about you? You got any Facebook check-in things going on?
So I don't, you know, I don't. And that's funny too, because I you know, I mean, I have a marketing company. I see the value in collecting that data. So I'm sure there's software. If anybody in there's using a software to collect that data, let us know what you're using and if it's working well or not. Don't tell us what it is, and if it's not working well, you know, at least let us know. But you know, to answer the second part of your question on what to do with that, I mean, having that data is super valuable, because what it does is it gives you more access to your customers. And so being able to add more touch points to those customers builds loyalty, keeps you front of mind, and allows you to, you know, entice them to come back in. Now, obviously, if you have like a digital payment system of some sort, and you can, you know, integrate contact information into it, all the more powerful, because you can see, you know, they haven't been here in a while. We can, you know, hit them with a little promotion to get them back in, or whatever the case may be. But if you're not running with that, you can still, you know, shoot a weekly or monthly email. It can be short, it can be sweet. You can hit promotions every now and then. You can highlight what's going on in the community. You can highlight what's going on in the laundromat. Just keeping front of mind. I guarantee you that the laundromats around you are not doing this. Unless they're really running a real top-notch operation. I think it's a huge opportunity for laundromat owners to collect names and email addresses. It's really all you need. I mean, if you want to do some text messaging stuff, you can collect, you know, cell phone numbers too. But people are generally okay with giving a name and email address for some internet access, and being able to get into somebody's inbox can be super, super valuable. So if you're providing, you know, especially if you can provide just a short email once a week or once a month or whatever you can do to keep yourself top of mind and to offer a little bit of value, whether that's a promotion or here's how to get this tough stain out of this, you know, whatever's going to help your clients out, or, hey, there's this event coming up soon, so parking's going to be tight, so come on this day instead, whatever it might be. You know, collecting that data. The other thing that you can do with that data, now I'm the one going on. Other thing you can do with that data is input it into your Google Ads Manager or Facebook Ads Manager, and be able to target those people with ads, but also similar audiences to those email addresses. So other people in the area, other people who are basically a similar demographic. So that's another reason it can be super valuable to collect that data.
Do you have to manually do that?
You don't. You should have a marketing company do that.
Well, I mean people. Okay, so, just in general.
So yeah, I mean, you would basically export your list of email addresses into a spreadsheet, and then you can import that into your ads manager.
You do that every so often, or?
Yeah, you just do it every so often, or you can manually do it more often too.
Yeah, it's done for us, but I honestly didn't know the answer to the question. So
yeah, I don't know of a way to make it automatic. Okay. There may be, though. Wouldn't surprise me.
Cool. Oh, we still got new people coming in here. Hey, Zeus. Thanks for joining us. A lot of, I mean, I realize we're on your YouTube channel, Jordan, but there's a ton of people that I don't know and haven't seen their names.
Awesome.
So I'm honored to meet you guys, and me and Jordan are here to try to help you guys out. So yeah, we're glad you guys are here. Keep pumping those questions away. I can already see that we are not going to get through all these questions.
Yeah.
And, we're sorry about that, but that's actually a great thing, because that means participation is up. So guys, some of you experienced laundromat owners, our friends that are in the comments supporting us, help us answer these questions. You know, there's always some people in the comments that are newer to the industry, and there's always some people that are, you know, middle of the road. And there are always some people that are very, very experienced. So help each other out. We are not going to be able to get through all these. But that being said, keep posting those questions because we will do everything we can to get through as many as we can for sure. So,
Hey, so John asked way back up in the beginning, he's getting ready to open his store and wanted to know if we had any grand opening or, opening promotional ideas to throw out. You want to throw out a couple of ideas for him? Get the
yeah,
creative juices flowing.
Yeah, when it comes to a grand opening, the first thing I'll tell you something I'm doing right now, and I wish I had like a screen share and a picture and stuff because my temporary sign just went up today. My store won't be open. My store I'm building won't be open for probably roughly another 2 to 3 months. But we had a 6 by 8 foot permanent sign, not permanent, but a wood sign posted out at the road, just coming soon, sanitizing the laundromat, that kind of stuff. We also have a billboard campaign, which this is a little bit funny, and I may be playing my hand here, but that's okay. I'm all about being transparent. I actually haven't told anyone in the industry this, including you, Jordan. But about 2 weeks before I closed on my building, I found out that someone was building a 3,500 square foot laundromat from scratch, building it all half a mile away on the other side of the road from my store.
Mm-hmm.
And they couldn't have known what I was doing because I haven't even pulled permits yet. We just been doing demo. And I did that very intentionally. But anyway, there's a billboard that is 5 feet off of their property that's right above their building. And I just signed a 2-year contract on that billboard. And so we will be changing the messages on that billboard monthly. And I shared a few of those. My first 3 months images I shared on my Facebook and Google or Facebook and LinkedIn page. And I think Instagram too, the other day. So we're trying to be kind of coy and clever and drum up some, what's the word I'm looking for? Drum up some buzz in the community about what's coming, because on the first month, it doesn't really say what it is. And then the second month it insinuates a little bit more. And then the third month, we actually tell people that we're building the largest laundromat in the entire state of Ohio, a half mile away. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but I think before you open, you can do, you're the digital marketing guy. Before you open, you can do a lot of SEO, organic things. A couple weeks before, you can even start to do some paid things. If you have a card system or a phone pay system, I think where you double your money, the Luke Willithard way, I think is phenomenal if you have that type of a system set up. If you don't have the prepaid loyalty card system, what we're going to do is give away a free wash for a month. Let me rephrase that. All washers free for a month. So not a free wash, but all washers will be free for a month. And that's pretty aggressive. And I realize not everybody has that in their budget, but we're in a position where we can do that. So that's just a few things I have. But, one of the things too is we've been in the industry for 12 years now, and we've been using the Queen City Laundry brand and treating people the right way in our community for 12 years. And so our brand means something. You can build that brand loyalty. And so when we open that new store, the community is going to know exactly what they're getting, or they're going to think they know what they're getting. And then when they walk in, they're going to be blown away. So yeah, create that buzz. I think you can do a lot before you even open your doors. And then discounting isn't always the only way to get foot traffic in too. You can do very strategic marketing and advertising. You can do very clever social campaigns and things like that. Kind of like me referring to being coy on the billboard and those types of things. And people talk, I mean, I guess the best way I know how to put it is if you ever lived in a community where there was something going in, some building being built on some vacant lot, and it didn't say what it was, everybody in the community starts talking. They're like, what? I wonder what's going in there. And then 2 weeks go by and 3 weeks go by and 5 weeks go by and people are talking, especially on social media. We communicate more than ever. Now people are like, oh, hey, you know what that is going in up the road on the corner of blah, blah, blah. And so I think there's something to be said for just being a little bit coy and creating that buzz, and then bam, let them have it. So anyway, discounting isn't the only way to create a buzz is my point.
Yeah. And I think you're doing it right? It's doing multiple things that all go towards the same goal, right? If you do that buzz and you come out and you fling open the doors and your prices are 4 times more than the next person, and people kind of come in and be like, whoa, this is like crazy, right? It's not going to work. But because you're creating the buzz and then you fling open the doors and you're slapping them upside the head with free wash for a month, that's, I mean, really going to create buzz. I'm sure you're doing stuff around, other stuff also, online advertising, and, you got your signage out front, all that stuff going on. So, I mean, I think that's kind of the key, John, for the grand opening stuff is be hitting it from multiple angles. Hit it online, but hit it in person too. Start before you open, sooner the better. And kind of depending on how far out you are, like Dave said, you can be a little coy if you got a little more time out. But if you're opening up in the next few weeks here, you want get that buzz going and get that message out there that you're about to fling open the doors and hit it hard and come with some, I always tell people, hey, the key really to getting people into your business is, number one, get them in your front door. You got to do something dramatic. Dave's doing free washes for a month. That's dramatic. Luke Williford does double your money on your car system. That's dramatic. Do something dramatic to get them in your door. Once they're in your door, do something dramatic to get them back. And once they come back that second time, do one more thing to make sure they come back the third time, and then they're your customer, right? Dave's doing it all in one fell swoop with free washes for a month. They'll probably be back 5 or 6 times within that month because it's free, right? And they'll be his customers from then on out. So that's kind of the key there. And make sure you hit it from all the angles you can. Somebody was asking, and Dave, I think you're the perfect person to answer this question. Somebody's here in LA, pretty competitive market. The neighboring competition is either free wash or like a quarter for like 12 or 15 minutes. Craziness, right? But they want to do.
You mean free dry? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Sorry, what did I say? Free wash? Yeah. Free dry.
I brainwashed you.
Yeah, I know. I'm coming out there to do my laundry. Shoot. Free dry or quarter to do like 12 or 15 minutes, for a dry, something like that. They want to do full cycle dry. How can they introduce full cycle dry in the midst of that environment? Or is it possible, or should they?
It's definitely possible. And I know people that have done it. So I hate it when people say, well, I have to do what everyone else does. There's a couple things that I would do. One of them is, I would go have a conversation with the owner, and I would explain to him, we can't price fix. That's illegal, but it's not illegal to have conversations. Just say, look, if you continue this, I'm going to be forced to continue to match you. And if I match you, then you won't have a differentiator anymore. Some laundromat owners will respond accordingly to that and make a different decision. Not in a threatening way, just literally in a professional way. I would have a conversation like that. And I know people have done that and had success with it. Be respectful. And the other thing I'll tell you is that is one thing out of the entire value proposition that you deliver to your market. So don't get too hung up on that. Just make sure you're over delivering on all of the other aspects of your value proposition. And that could be a million different things. It's been proven over and over again that customers aren't near as price sensitive as we think they are. Yes, price matters. It's not irrelevant. But there are many, many different things that you can do. And I'll give you a quick example. Let's say hypothetically that this store is unattended and you're attended. Let's say that store is open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and you're open 24 hours. Mm-hmm. Let's say that store has a very small footprint and you have a very wide footprint. Let's say that store is run by a grumpy 85-year-old and who sits in the back and reads a book and locks the door because she doesn't want anybody to know they're there. And your attendants are greeting people at the door and holding the door and helping people carry in their laundry. None of those things are associated with price, but let's talk about the value proposition associated with store A and store B. So, what I recommend people do is, yes, pay attention to your competitors, pay attention to what they do good and make sure you do it better, and pay attention to what they do poorly and make sure you do that better too. And then your value proposition will be so high that something like discounted dry or free dry is mostly irrelevant. And I know a lot of people don't believe me when I say these things, but I talk to hundreds of laundromat owners all over the country every year and have for 12 years. And trust me, this is what the top operators in the industry do. So don't get hung up on just that one thing. Be strategic, focus on your value proposition. Imagine if the free dry store didn't have air conditioning and it was 98 degrees and you had air conditioning. That's not a differentiator. I mean, hypothetically, I'm not saying to do this, but let's say that store's 80-pound washers were $12 and yours were $8. I'm not saying to do that. I'm just saying that these are all differences. So don't get hung up on just that one thing and obsess over it. There's many different ways to bring value to the industry and to your community. And those are the things that you should be focusing on.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. And I mean, I feel like that's hard for a lot of people to do.
It is.
Right. And
you know why? Because they don't believe me. And I'm not talking about me. They don't believe that what I said just now is true. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah. But I also think too, that part of it has to do with they don't believe in themselves, that they're not able to provide enough value for their customers to justify that. Right. Mm-hmm. And that's something that you got to work through on your own, and figuring out, okay, well, what is my differentiator and how am I going to provide value?
Differentiators.
Yeah. Yeah. And how am I going to provide value and charge accordingly, right? Because that's the name of the game, right? People will pay more for things if there's more value for them there, right? And so, having differentiators that provide a lot of value for your customers, that's why Dave can say, a lot of people aren't even going to notice, or they're not going to say anything. They're not really even going to care because they're getting so much more value from your business than they would from this other free dry. And I know here in LA too, the free dry stores, which there are more and more of them popping up. It's a real thing here. I mean, they're popping up all over the place. A lot of people are going free dry. But you also have to know that attracts a different clientele.
I was waiting for you to take a breath because I was going to say that. Go ahead.
I will not take a breath because I know if I take a breath, I'll never get to speak.
You'll never get the stage back, even though it's your channel.
Yeah, no, but I mean, that's genuine too, especially here in LA. Like, it will attract a different clientele, which is fine. Like, there's room for that. But not everybody wants to do their laundry in that environment. Right. And, I've talked a lot on like the podcast and stuff about the atmosphere in your laundromat and how do you, make the atmosphere appropriate for the clients that you want to attract. And part of that is actually charging for drying as opposed to giving a free dry, because that's going to appeal. It's going to not appeal to certain types of people. And the people that those people don't appeal to will come do their laundry at your place because that appeals to them, that those people aren't there. Does that make sense?
That is, you've said it very well. And I also, if I'm honest, I think a lot of people, when they hear you say that, they're probably not going to believe you. Just like they may not believe me, but I'm telling you, it's true, guys. You don't have to believe it from me and from Jordan. Excuse me. Go talk to other people in the industry. Go have a few hundred conversations with the top operators in the industry. Build a relationship, because they're not going to spill the beans to you over a 5-minute cup of coffee. Build a relationship. Get to know these people. They will share information with you. And this is what the top operators in the industry do. They over deliver on value and they never apologize for price. And these are the most successful people in every industry, not just ours. Trust me. I've given examples all day long with my pricing models. I mean, I charge $4 for 20-pound horizons. In all my stores, and we're $1 coin. So it's $1 for extra wash and $1 for extra rinse. If somebody chooses that machine, it's $6 for a 20-pound machine, including extra wash and extra rinse. I have competitors charging $1 for 20-pound horizons, and it's a newer store. My stores are all older that have been updated and retrofitted with new equipment. This store is a brand new laundromat that was just built 2 years ago. Right, I have 4 stores all kind of on the east side of Cincinnati. They kind of make a triangle. Somebody built a brand new laundromat right in the middle of all 4 stores. It should have taken a couple $1,000s a week from at least 2 or 3 of my stores. They've been there for 2.5 years running $1 double loaders, and all my stores are setting record, even during COVID now. So what does that tell you? I mean, that tells you that, as you said, they're attracting a different clientele and they can have them. And that tells you that I'm attracting a different clientele and that's who I want to attract. It's very intentional.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, kind of along a similar theme, what are your thoughts on starting a drop off, like a fluff and fold service in a lower income area? Is that something that you should consider? How do you know if it's a good thing to do or not? You have any thoughts on that?
Well, I think if you're already attended, then I'm not sure what you have to lose. A little bit more training, a little bit more oversight, not a ton of investment, even if you want a POS, but especially if you don't need a POS. So I'm not sure that there's much to lose there, assuming you're attended. If the demographics are, and those are relative, but if demographics are really off the charts, meaning they're just 70-80% for self-serve, then if you're unattended, it may not make sense to go that way. But those are pretty extreme numbers. But I think you're going to be surprised that certainly not everybody, but I think you're going to be surprised that what we call lower income people, a lot of times have a little bit more disposable income than it appears they do on paper. And if they're going to splurge on themselves, a lot of times it will be for a drop-off laundry service that's run well. So I think you should just keep that in the back of your mind. And I think the faster the demographic percentages go away from a self-serve demographic, closer to, let's say, 25 or 30 or even 40 or 50%, that still means roughly half of your demographics are not self-serve demographics, meaning they are probably ideal for a drop-off laundry service. I think it also matters whether you're pricing properly, because these people that are charging $1.20 a pound for drop-off laundry, I don't care what market you're in, you're selling yourself way short. We charge $1.80 a pound for drop-off and $2.19 for pickup and delivery in Cincinnati, which is not a high cost of living area. So that's a pretty good price point for our services, but we deliver on value. But the reality is, if your margins are higher, then you don't have to do as many pounds to generate the profits that you need to justify the things that we're talking about, like staffing and things like that. I think a lot of times we see these things as an either or proposition. Either we have a self-serve laundromat or we have pickup and delivery, and or drop off in this case. And I think a lot of times that our industry is evolving right now into more of that laundry center mentality, and the business model isn't for everybody. But don't assume that don't assume that just because it's great demographics for self-serve that there isn't some drop-off laundry revenue out there. Yeah, you may not do 3,000 pounds a day of drop-off, but once again, if you take other factors into account, like whether you're attended or not already built into the staffing and things like that, a lot of times you don't really have to generate a lot of revenue. If you're already fully attended and you're a self-serve laundromat, you can generate an extra $500,000 a week in drop-off, which is not much drop-off at all. That's $3,000 or $4,000 a month. That's worth doing with some, Sharpies and dry erase board and a 3-part carbon copy tickets, and a cash register.
Don't use the Sharpie on the dry erase board, though.
Don't do that.
That's not good.
That's the best advice of the night.
And the other opportunity there in the lower income areas for drop-off stuff, lower income areas tend to have also a lot of small businesses that could benefit from, that service too. A lot of little salons or, whatever the case may be, smaller hotels or motels that maybe you can do a little bit of drop-off stuff there also as well. So there are opportunities there if you want them to be there. So go for it, man. Let's see.
A lot of talk about big machines in the comments.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on big machines? Are you doing, what are the biggest size machines you're doing at your new store?
80s, 480s. And somebody, can't remember, Chris, maybe somebody actually asked me why I didn't have hundreds in there. And the answer is that I seriously thought about it. And the reason I decided not to is this business is going to be fantastic, but it's going to be about 25% self-serve revenue, about 25% drop-off revenue, and about 50% pickup and delivery. And then that's actually 100%. But then I have a car wash too that's going to generate, I think, a decent amount of revenue too. So the reality is this is a laundry center as much as it is a laundromat. But the demographics where the store is being built for just a laundromat are good, but not great on their own right. And so we have families, we have middle-class families in the area that will use our 60s and 80s. But there's not a lot of large families that would, need the 100-pound machines. But I seriously considered it, and it kind of ended up being like a 50-50 proposition. So I could have put hundreds in there, and I definitely would have made them work for sure. But I just decided I was probably forcing the issue. So it was close to answer your question, and I'm a big fan of hundreds. They're great machines.
Yeah, and I'll say, with the investment company that I work with, the Diligence Capital Investments, we're trying to close a deal right now where we'll be putting in some 125s if we get that deal. But the demographics really support that. It's a large average person per household demographic, and so it's a good demographic for that. But I do see that trend, and it's been happening for a while now, of bigger machines going bigger, more of the bigger machines, less of the smaller machines. I mean, if you think back, 20 years ago or 30 years ago, laundromats used to be all top loaders basically. And they've kind of been introducing larger and larger machines, and those top loaders are getting phased out of a lot of laundromats now. And the bigger machines are coming in, and I think for good reason. I think the clients, like those big machines. It's all about making this chore that really nobody likes to do as easy as possible. So if you can get it all done in one or two machines, or whatever the case may be, and just knock it out and get out of there and go do something else you want to do, all the better.
Yeah, and you can give people a better bang for their buck with the larger machines too. I mean, the footprints that they take up, they're more, they're more profitable machines to run. And so if you can incentivize people to use those machines, which you don't even really need to do, to be honest, they want to use them. But if you can incentivize them, like my smaller machines are anywhere from 18 to 20 cents a pound in price or higher, where my bigger machines are typically 15 to 17 cents a pound. So if you're just looking at it on a per pound basis, if you bring in 80 pounds of laundry, is it cheaper to load it in 4 double loaders or into 240s or 180? And so the value is there just from a poundage perspective. You do have to educate people and kind of explain that to them, but a lot of them just go to the closest machine, which is your biggest machines too. But they're definitely revolutionizing this industry. It's kind of funny because I remember it's probably been 5 to 6 years ago when I bought my third store. I insisted with my equipment distributor that I wanted 80s in the store. And he had been in the business a long time and insisted I didn't need anything bigger than a 60. And I really, really pushed back. And so he just gave in because I wouldn't shut up. And he put them in. I'm ruthless. But so he went ahead and put them in for me because I wasn't going to take no for an answer. And he sells 80s to almost all of his customers now. And he says all the time, I thought I was right, but I was not right. You were right. So yeah, that big equipment's revolutionizing our industry. Just make sure the demographics and the volume of laundry that's going to come into your store, justify something above an 80. And in my case, I kind of felt like I was right on the edge.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Let's talk. Let's see. There was a question about somewhere up in there about how to take that first step. I see people, a lot of my coaching clients have, like, I had one earlier today actually who was like, yeah, we've been looking into buying a laundromat for a couple years now. And, and I've heard 5 years, 10 years, I've heard a lot. I'm sure you have too, and part of me is like, oh gosh, like you just got to do it. Right. But part of me gets it. Like, it's a scary step. You're talking about investing a lot of money. It probably took a lot of time and effort to accumulate. You've never done it before. And, it's a hard step to take. So do you have any advice for somebody who maybe needs to either, what's the saying? Crap or get off the pot, like take some action and get going, but is just struggling to take that first step?
Yeah, what I usually tell people when we're talking about something like that is, be self-reflective. Look in the mirror. Excuse me. I'm struggling tonight. What's your reason? What's your reason for holding back? If it's fear and it's unsubstantiated fear, then you just need to get off the pot. You need to make a move and you need to learn on the fly. But if the reason is that you don't have the education and you'll never know everything, or you haven't built the right team, or you don't have a good mentor, you haven't found a good distributor, you can do a lot of those things, at least start the process of a lot of those things without actually executing on something. So part of the reason that I mean, don't get me wrong, I was afraid when I bought my first store for sure. But part of the reason I was probably less afraid and more confident than most people is I had spent 3 or 4 months, which isn't a lot of time, by the way. I had spent 3 or 4 months digging obsessively every hour that I was awake, that I wasn't working. I was digging obsessively about the industry. And I had already found a good attorney, and I had found an amazing equipment distributor that I had spent, my goodness, probably 100 hours with my equipment distributor before I even closed on my first store. Imagine how much he had taught me in that time and how many conversations we had had. Um, so, make sure you're doing things the right way and you have the foundational education in place. Participating in things like this are very valuable, whether you're learning from people in the comments or you're learning from me and Jordan doesn't really matter. I've had, honestly, in the last like week, I think I've had 10 or 15 people reach out to me. I'm using, private messages and stuff. I'm interested in getting in the industry. Where should I start? Which is essentially what you're asking. And I tell them all, consume all the free information that you can find from the CLA, from my platform, and from Laundromat Resource. If you do that, that's hundreds and hundreds of hours of content. Now, it's not, everybody has different opinions. So I'm not saying everything every person says on every podcast ever is gold. But the reality is you're going to start to see a lot of consistencies. You're going to start to hear a lot of commonalities, and those are going to give you a really good foundation. And then, not everybody can afford a mentor or a coach, and I get that, but you can still participate in things like this as an example. I mean, this is free. We're not charging anybody anything for this. Anybody that wants to in the world can comment on here and ask us a question, and we'll try to do everything that we can to get your questions. That's basically free consulting. And if you don't think I know what I'm talking about, then go find another Q&A where you think they're more credible and that they will help you. But you do all these live webinar or all these free webinars and things like that all they have to do is sign up for. There's so much. I don't want to say that our industry is like other industries, because I think we have a long ways to go with sharing information and education. But I think we've come a long ways in the last couple of years. And a lot of what Jordan has done on Laundromat Resources is a reason for that. Please make payments to Dave Menz. What?
Just kidding. You were saying everything's free.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, yeah. Sorry, squirrel. But anyway, so I don't know if that helps somebody, but if really paralysis analysis is your issue, you need to self-examine. Yeah.
Yeah.
And see why.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful advice. And and where I direct people back to also is back to what are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? And if your goal is maybe to hit a certain amount of cash flow per month so that you can quit your job, or whatever your goal is, that's got to be, you got to be able to trace it back to your why, right? Nobody will ever take a risk if the reward is not worth it to you, right? So going back to what are your goals? Why do you have those goals? Why are those goals important to you? And is that reason a good enough reason for you to make the leap, right? And if it's not good enough for you to make the leap, then maybe just move on to something else that's going to be good enough for you to make the leap. And if it is good enough for you to make the leap, and it really is a goal that you're trying to accomplish, then you need to do whatever it takes to step off the ledge, right? If you need to have somebody kind of shove you off the ledge, hire Dave as a coach and he'll shove you off the ledge, or tell a friend, or keep yourself accountable somehow, state publicly, whatever you got to do to take that step. If it's going to help you get to your goals, then that is, that's what you have to do. Right. But until you're clear on what your goals are and why those are your goals, it's going to be hard to take that leap because there's no reason to, if that makes sense. Dave, can you talk a little bit about using a marketing agency, how that's been for you? Any details you can share with us about, what kinds of stuff they do for you, and, I don't know, anything like that?
Yeah, they the first thing I'll say is I'm a big fan, and I'll continue to say this until somebody proves me that's not the right way to go because it's working. Is the 12 years I've been in the industry, one of the weaknesses in my team until recently was my digital marketing, because it's not something I have passion for. It's something I was functionally doing myself at different times, and it was very inefficient. I hired, I think, 5 or 6 different digital marketing companies over the years, and none of them were in our industry. And they were, they came well represented, well recommended, I should say, from other people, but they were friends of mine that owned restaurants and, Mexican restaurants and stuff like that. And they did an okay job. They did a better job than me, but they didn't really bring the value that was worth what I was paying them until I started, using a digital marketing company that was niche, that was specific to our industry. Mm-hmm. So, there's 3 companies in our industry, and I don't have a personal preference. I just happen to be using one of them. And Jordan's Laundromat Resource Marketing is one of those that are niche and specialize in this industry. So that, I think that's where the foundation has to start, is making that budget, 2 to 3% minimum, 4 to 5% of gross is an investment you should be making in your business. But don't just throw it out there and expect it to do something. Find the right company that knows this industry and knows how to market your services and what you're looking to accomplish, what your goals are. Excuse me. As far as what they do for us, they pretty much do everything for us. I mean, they didn't build our website because we had taken a bunch of swings and misses at that, but they definitely revamped our website. They focused on SEO. They do our social media. They run pay-per-click ads, which is paid ads for us on Google and Facebook and places like that. So they do all types of different things for us. They do really all of our marketing budget pretty much goes to them, with the exception of a few things I talked about with some billboards and some one-off things like that. The other thing I'll say is your digital marketing company is only good as the content, and they can curate content, and they should be able to curate content, but you should be helping them with that as well. That's something that's more of a team game. And so you need to be having conversations and meeting. You need to be thinking creatively, giving them the ideas. I think that's really valuable. And I'll give you an example is when I added the Santa Wash Ozone to my store. I hired a company that was, that makes the commercials for social media to make a commercial for my pickup and delivery business, which is Happy Nest, and a separate commercial for my self-serve laundromats, because we had it in both. The Santa Wash Ozone, we basically advertised that we had, the only sanitizing laundromat in Cincinnati, if you will. But I went out and had that commercial made, and I designed it. I hired a company to professionally make the commercial. And then I took the commercial to my digital marketing company and said, here, take this and run with it. Now, a lot of digital marketing companies don't make content like that. I mean, they do content, but they don't make commercials. This company flew in from Texas and made this commercial that was kind of me and my wife's sort of brainchild, if you will. And it wasn't cheap. I mean, it was over $10,000 to make each one of these commercials, but we made them in a way that was very evergreen. We invested in them. We don't see it as an expense. We see it as an investment. And those things have the ROI was like 4 or 5 months on the Santa Wash Ozone system and on the commercial both. We got our money back in about 6 months. And now we're still running those commercials months and months later. We'll be running them years from now, because we made them in an evergreen fashion. But if I just said, hey, here's some money, do some pay-per-click for me, hopefully especially the 3 companies that I know about in this industry all do a really good job of marketing laundromats. But let's take it a step further. Don't just hand it off. Hire an expert, but then manage them. And I don't mean micromanage them. Manage them, be a partner with them and say, this is my business. This is my community. Yours is the expertise. Let's have a constant conversation, whether it's every other month or every 6 weeks or whatever, to see what that strategy looks like. You're a person. You may not be a marketing person, but you should be a business person. And so you should have ideas. You should be creatively thinking all the time. My Billboard campaign that I just talked about is, something we came up with on our own and doesn't really have anything to do with the company that does our digital marketing. But what we did is we send them all the graphics. And we said, hey, this is a campaign we're running for the next 24 months. Because like I said, we're changing it every month. And we said, is there anything we can do to build off of that, digitally speaking? And they were like, that's awesome. Give us a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. And so now their team has kind of got the wheels a churning. This is how marketing works, guys, at a high level. This is how marketing works. Not just I'm going to throw $300 at Facebook, put a cute stock photo up there and pray. Like that's not how this works at a high level. So you gotta take it to a different level, but it's not rocket science. And then the last thing I'll say, and I know it's a little bit long-winded, I apologize, but the last thing I'll say is, guys, everybody always says, yeah, Dave, but you have the money to do that. Okay, that's what people all say to me because I'm, the Laundromat Millionaire and everything. Let me tell you something. I started in this industry with less money than almost anyone I've ever spoken with. And I still did these things. Now, I didn't spend 10 grand when I didn't have 10 grand. So I'm not saying to do that. But I was always reinvesting. I was always living below my means. I was always pushing the envelope to be better tomorrow than I was the day before. And so I was always sacrificing. I could have made more money. I could have drove a nicer car. And I did those things for 7, 8, 9 years. Heck, I still do them. But eventually all that, we like to talk about compounding interest, right? Well, compounding education is a thing too. Compounding delayed gratification, compounding investing in your business is a thing. And maybe there's fancier terms for these by people much smarter than me, but these things add up. They provide a tremendous amount of value. And as they snowball over time, all of a sudden you wake up one day and you have this amazing small business and you started with 20 grand and a high school education. So you can do it, is my point. I'm not special. Okay. You can do the things I'm saying to do. Just because you aren't where I am right now, I wasn't always where I am right now. And so I want to remind people of that because I think a lot of times they turn me off and say, well, that's great and all, Dave, because you have 20 grand to spend on commercials, but that's not where I came from. And that's not how I built the business I have today. So that's the advice I'm giving you, is to do the things that I've done and think the way that I've thought.
You said a lot of really good stuff in there. I mean, number one, I loved what you're saying as, partner with your whatever expert you're working with, really, because you are the expert in your business, right? Maybe they're an expert in digital marketing, or they're an expert in creating commercial, or they're an expert in, Ozone, or whatever the case may be, right? But it's your business still. And so I love the idea of, hey, partner with these other experts, let them do the thing they're good at, but you still own the business and it's still your vision of the business, right? You don't want to delegate that stuff to the, whatever the expert is, the digital marketer or whatever, you're working with, right? So I love that. I loved the, compounding nature of what you're talking about, right? You can start with $20,000 in a high school education and turn it into, the Laundromat Millionaire, case in point right here. Right. And that, that works kind of all throughout. Right. And it's a lot of this has to do with developing good habits and good mindset, right? And your mindset's going to help you develop your habits. So if you develop a good mindset, you're going to develop good habits, and good habits are things like Dave was talking about, like reinvesting in your business. Good habits are things like, managing your employees well, and just all these things that Dave were talking about, right? You're going to have good habits. Well, those good habits, may not make a huge difference when you buy your first laundromat and you're just getting started within the first few months. But after a year, that laundromat starts to look a little better, and then it looks a little better, and then all of a sudden you have 2, and then all of a sudden you have 4, and then all of a sudden you're building a $2 million laundromat, and and on and on and on it goes. And Dave, I tell Dave this all the time, right? He's at the tip of the iceberg, I think, of what he's going to do, both personally and in this industry and all of that, which is why you should subscribe to his YouTube channel over there. So make sure you go to the Laundromat Millionaire YouTube channel so you can keep tabs on what Dave's doing. But the same thing is true for all of us, right? And it's the education, the actions, all of that stuff, the mindset stuff, it compounds on itself and grows over time, right? So like Dave was saying, I don't necessarily think you need to start with a commercial or ever even do a commercial necessarily, but having that discipline of reinvesting 3%, 4%, 5%, whatever, back into your business for marketing purposes, whether you're making, your laundromat's making $500 a month, take 3 or 4 or 5% of that and reinvest it. And yeah, it might not really even win you a new customer, that first 6 months, right, of investment, because it's not that much money. But number one, over time, it will. And number two, if it's more about the habit of doing that, so that as your business grows, you're still, cultivating that habit, and it will compound on itself. So I loved that. Let me just tell you real quick on the digital marketing front, some of the best investments that I think you can make, especially if you're just starting out, or maybe you can't hire a digital marketing company. Here's 3 things that I think that you can do pretty effectively. Number one, run a small Google marketing campaign. You can look up, all kinds of stuff on YouTube. You can learn anything on YouTube. I want to do an appendectomy someday, just from learning what I learned on YouTube or something. I don't know. You can do
unless
anything.
It's an emergency. You're not doing it on me.
Wow. Let's pray for an emergency then. Just kidding. Number 2, Facebook ads, same thing. You can learn that. Number 3, and I think is kind of the hidden gem, we actually even talked about it a little bit earlier, is email marketing, because nobody's doing that in our industry, or almost nobody's doing that. And I do think it's a really good marketing technique. And there's, I watch a lot of marketing YouTube videos and stuff, and people are saying, hey, email marketing's dead. But I personally know people who have multi-million-dollar businesses that are based on email marketing alone, right? So there's something to be said about being in somebody's inbox, and you can't just send them junk all the time. Send them something valuable, but it doesn't have to be very long, and it doesn't have to be super often, right? Email marketing, so collecting that data, whether that's, offering them something free for their email address, or whatever, however you get those email addresses, get them. Just make a habit again of sending an email a week or once a month or whatever you can do. And that will compound on itself.
Yeah, very nice. Mike asked about Ozone, specifically asking about prices and stuff like that. Mike, what I would tell you is I just did a podcast on Ozone, and maybe you saw it. It was with the owner and head engineer of SantaWash, which is the Ozone system I use. Go check out that podcast. I don't have the number episode in front of me, but just type in SantaWash Ozone on either YouTube or if you go to my Laundromat Millionaire website, you can find my podcast on there, and it's in the list. But it's the one on SantaWash Ozone, and I think you'll be pretty happy with that. It was a pretty fantastic episode. When we got finished with that in post-production, I was very, very happy with how that came out and how that's going to educate the industry. So go check that out if you haven't, for sure.
In fairness, all of your episodes are very good episodes. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Most of yours are good, but especially number 2. Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, it's still the most downloaded one. So you're still champion of the Laundromat Resource.
When it's no longer the most downloaded one, you'll hear me stop talking about it.
Yeah.
Until then, I'm going to keep doing it. By the way, guys, if you haven't already, you are on the Laundromat Resource YouTube channel. So be sure to thank Jordan for putting this together tonight, for donating 90 minutes of his time to give everyone free consulting and tips and tricks on the industry. So make sure you subscribe to his YouTube channel, because we do this every other month. Next month will be on my YouTube channel. Following month will be on Jordan's. And these are free and always will be free. So be sure that you guys check out all of them. The other thing I'll say too is if you go back on Jordan's YouTube channel, scroll down. This is this number 7, Jordan? I think
It's number 7. Yeah.
This is number 7. We started this back in December, and these are 90-minute sessions. So we have done 6 90-minute sessions of these YouTube lives with other people asking questions that you may or may not know. But go back through Laundromat Resource YouTube channel and find those previous episodes. And obviously you can't ask questions because it's not live, but you can watch and listen to other people ask questions. So be sure to do that. Be sure to subscribe to it. If you haven't, you're crazy, but be sure you're checking out the Laundromat Resource podcast as well, because it's fantastic. And do me a favor, watch episode 2 or 3 times. Even if you have to turn the volume down, just watch it a couple times.
just put it on.
Trying to load the ballot box.
Yeah, put it on a loop. There's actually a playlist with all the Q&As on it. So just click on the playlist tab on there, and you can find all the Q&As. Live Q&As over there. So yeah. And I put the link over in the comments there for Dave's Ozone podcast. If you're interested in Ozone, check that out over there.
Jordan is on the ball.
While you're there,
guys, we got 15 minutes left. Keep these questions coming. You got any more written down for us? I know we have a bunch we haven't.
No, but
gotten to.
I think I missed some while I was gabbing away. Usually you're doing more talking. I've been doing more talking than normal. So
yeah, let's
see what we got here. Yeah, keep those questions coming if you got them.
Guys, if you asked a question, we're probably at 15 minutes left. We're probably going to struggle to scroll back up and find it at this point. So if you asked a question that we didn't address, just type it again real quick below. But
I saw Mike
says no prices. What's he talking about?
Mike,
what are you looking for a price on?
Mike needs to complete his business plan. Do you have any resources to help Mike out?
What do you mean
with the business plan?
Yeah, Mike, email me, Dave at Laundromat Millionaire. I'll send you a business plan.
There you go.
It's not really a template, but I mean, it's my business plan, but you can use it as a template.
There's a business plan of all business plans right there. I'm going to email you too.
Yeah, I'm actually working on building. Jordan's way ahead of me on this, the templates and things like that on his website, but I'm working on putting together some of these templates for the different things that I already have. Just they'll be in template form where you can kind of plug and play. That'll be on my website. But Mike, you mentioned something about no prices. Let us know what you're talking about there.
For the Ozone, I think he's wanting prices for the Ozone setup.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care to share. We paid roughly $40,000 for our Ozone system. Once again, I don't sell Ozone or anything, so don't quote me on that. I know, I can tell you that the system itself is not inexpensive, but what's really labor intensive is the installation. And so, get a quote from both or whichever company you want to use or whatever. But it's very labor intensive. And I know it is based on the amount of machines you have, how many runs they have to make. Cause I know I won't speak for other companies, but for Santa Wash, they have to run a dedicated line directly to your cold water valve, vacuum line for every machine in your store. And then it has to be calibrated based on how much water is used. So anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but yeah, I paid $40,000 for a store installed. That was, I believe it's 37 washers and dryers, well, not dryers, but 37 washers. So that gives you a rough idea. Not sure. I mean, that was a year ago now. Not sure if prices changed. So,
everything's changed.
Yeah, no kidding. Holy cow. I ordered all that equipment for my new store. And like 3 weeks later, Alliance raised the prices 6%. 6% of $900,000 is a lot of money, by the way. Yeah, I was like, holy moly. 3 weeks later, I would have been out 6%. It's crazy stuff.
So Daryl asked, which I think is a good question. What are you looking for when you're determining? I mean, you mentioned you were kind of on the bubble for, those the 100-pounder washers. Is there a number of people per household in that demographic that you're looking for to help you determine what size machines to put in?
I don't have like a spreadsheet or anything like that, but as a general rule, I won't touch an 80 if there's not an average of 4.5 or better per
Mhm.
household, that's an average. I mean, that's a pretty high.
That's pretty high.
That's a pretty high number. And in my case, the store I'm building, we didn't have that average. But once again, we do a ton of pickup and delivery and wash, drop off laundry. So we were taking all those things into account. We do a ton of comforters. We have people bring in 3 or 4 comforters, every week almost, it seems like.
Mhm.
So my laundromat is not the stereotypical laundromat. It's more of a laundry center. But yeah, thanks, Mike. He said, can't wait for my book to come out. I do have a book coming out October 1st. And something we were talking about earlier, I don't remember what it was. Actually, I was not intentionally going to plug it, but what were we talking about earlier? And I cover it in quite a bit of detail in my book. I can't remember what subject it was. Um, Drawing a blank. But anyway, yeah, check out my book, guys. I think it's going to bring a ton of value to the industry. I've wrote the manuscript myself and hired some real rock star professionals to help me format the book and do what they call editorial lift, which is help tell the story in a smoother, easier way to read it. We created all kinds of marketing things and checklists and diagrams, and so I'm really hopeful that it's more than just a story. I'm hoping that it'll really be some actionable content that can help you guys. But yeah.
Yeah. Is there like a email list people can sign up for to get information about when it's coming out, or how do they find that?
Yeah, they can just go to my website, laundromatmillionaire.com. Right now, you can just fill out your name and email address. Excuse me, and we'll send you an email when the pre-sale happens. Because actually, our pre-sale will be out in I think 3 to 4 weeks, and then the launch will be October 1st. So you can actually buy the book on my website then. But until then, you can do the pre-sale, or you can just send me your email address, and we'll send out an email blast when it launches. So yeah, thanks for asking.
Another question that came in is question about a management company. You have any thoughts on a management company?
For a laundromat, I
Yeah.
assume that's
Yeah.
what they're asking. I mean, me personally, I'm super passionate about my business and I've built an amazing team. So I would never turn my businesses over to a management company, not because I think there's anything wrong with it. I mean, I'm not aware of any personally, but I also haven't gone looking. But I mean, I think having a great management company, what are we doing here?
No, go ahead.
Having
I
a
have a
great
management company, so
Oh,
come on,
well,
man.
there you go. I
Oh,
didn't even
boy.
know. I mean, I know you have Diligence Capital. I guess that's what that is. I don't know. Don't ask me what Jordan's doing. He changes every day, so I can't
That's
keep up
true.
with the guy.
I can't either.
But I mean, once again, what I would tell you is if you find a great management company, you should know how to run your laundromat well yourself before you hire a management company. And if you want to turn that over to them, you should know how to vet them and know whether they're good at what they do or not. But yeah, if there were an awesome management company out there like Jordan, then if that's the right fit for you, hey, that's fantastic. A lot of people are really successful with that in like the real estate play.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that's, I mean, there are people doing it. I am aware of that, but I'm not aware of anybody that quite honestly, I even know much about them. I just know there's people that do it. But my understanding is the people that I know, it's just like a person that owns 4 laundromats himself and, um, you know, gives you a cell phone number and says, I manage laundromats, and then charges you 10% or whatever. I'm not sure that there's much of a company there, but apparently Jordan's 19th company is that. So,
Well, here's who this appeals to is people who, typically the people who are interested in having a management company manage their laundromat are not people who are trying to build a business like Dave. Dave is
Mhm.
building a business and teaches people how to build businesses. But there are also people who, maybe high income earners who aren't really looking to get out of their 9 to 5 job, but they like laundromats and they
Mhm.
want to participate in, the community aspect of the laundromat and also the cash flow aspect of the laundromat. All that stuff is appealing to them. But maybe they're a surgeon or a lawyer or something. They don't have time to manage the laundromat. And so, having a company manage the laundromat for them is appealing to them because it allows them to participate in all the things that Dave says makes laundromats one of the best small businesses in America. But it keeps their time free to be able to, do their 9 to 5 or whatever they want to do. And, it's not for everybody for sure. And obviously your returns are going to be lower because you have to give some of that to the management company, but that does appeal to some people. Somebody asked why there's so many zombie mats out there, so many rundown laundromats. What's the deal with all those?
We're running out of time. The short answer is because this has been sold as a passive business for 40, 50, 60 years, and it's not. That's why.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think mindset has a lot to do with it too. There's a shifting. I mean, just like you said, it's been considered an investment for a long time, but it's a business, right? It's a small business and you got to run it like a business. And quite honestly, in this industry, it's, the message has been all you got to do is show up and collect quarters. And if the laundromat down the street, is not dumping money back into their laundromat to buy new equipment, because frankly, it's not cheap to buy equipment. I mean, you just mentioned spending $900,000 on equipment, and it's only getting more expensive. And if the laundromat down the street's not doing that, the mindset has been, well, why would I fork over all this money to do it? And that mindset is shifting. I think laundromats are starting to become more businesses than investments by and large. That model is picking up. And a big part of that's thanks to you and your message and what you've done and what you're doing and how you're teaching people how to do it. So kudos to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. The last thing I'll add on that, and I can't remember who asked the question. The last thing I'll add on that is I agree that it's changing, but guys, we can change that. Those of us that it doesn't have to be Dave Menz with a website. We can change that one conversation at a time. We are the laundromat industry. So I know that might be a little bit cliche, but we are the laundromat industry, and we can do something about that. So
yeah,
we do with that what we want. We all have voices. I'm just one of them.
Yeah. Dave, kind of interesting concept that Brian brought up that, maybe down the line for you might be interesting, but basically has a staffing company. This chain of laundromats is a staffing company that hires the attendants, and it's sort of a separate business that, furnishes employees to their laundromat, but there's, I'm sure, some business perks to that, some tax perks to that, and running things that way. So might be interesting to look into down the line. Interesting concept there. Maybe it's just an extra step that complicates things. I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be, I'm kind of an entrepreneurial nerd, not just a laundromat nerd. So I'm always intrigued by if I walk into a different type of restaurant or different type of business or whatever, first thing I do is I'm like, this is kind of a fascinating business model. You were talking about people mimicking you earlier or something like that. My boys all the time do that. They're 11 and 13 now. And they'll be like, Daddy, what do you think of this business model? Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I say that all the time.
That's funny. My kids have been on an inflation kick lately. It's pretty funny to hear my 7-year-old daughter talk about inflation to her friends. Pretty hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Our boys quote me all the time, but have no idea what they're talking about most of the time. They know more than they come across sometimes, but yeah, they just like to spout catchphrases usually.
That's fun. Nazir, shoot that question out quick.
Yep,
you got
get
1
it out quick.
minute.
Yep,
1 minute, Nazir.
And hopefully it's a question we can answer quickly. But listen, while we're wrapping it up, I just want to say, Jordan, thanks for having me on your channel. Thanks for doing this with me. I love it. I enjoy it every single month. You guys, thanks for joining us. And don't forget that we do this every month. So next month's going to be, we don't have a date yet, but we'll be putting that out on all of our social media platforms and stuff. And next month, it'll be on my YouTube channel, the Laundromat Millionaire channel. So be sure to keep watching us and check it out. As I mentioned, if you haven't went back and watched the past ones and you got something out of this, go back and check them out. Jordan has an entire playlist. Everybody wants to know what Nazir's question is now.
Nazir, the anticipation is killing us.
Killing everybody.
Yeah.
Clock is ticking.
Nazir.
Hey, Sean, you're welcome.
Nazir.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
If I could say one other thing real quick, guys, tell other people about this if you would, because we want more people included. We want more questions. When Joe Smith asks a question, everybody gets to hear the question and everybody gets to hear the answer. So the more diverse audience that we have and the more different questions that are coming to this community from different angles and different parts of the world, quite frankly, it makes everyone stronger. So I know everyone in the comments knows probably 5, 10, 15, 20 people in the laundromat industry. And I know not everybody can be available on the night we do it, but encourage them to join and participate. Tell other people about it because it's just going to make it stronger and stronger. So I don't think we're going to get a question from Nazir, but Nazir, I'm talking to you. Make sure next month you get on here and ask your question, and we'll try to make sure it's answered.
Oh, there it is. What's the best rate? If at least 15 years, how much will the square? Oh my goodness. You need to talk to a lender.
Goodness.
Or
I think he's talking about a lease.
Lease rate. Oh man,
Yeah.
there's so many. It depends on that one, Nazir. I don't know that we can answer that. But do me a favor and shoot Dave an email and let him answer via email. Dave at Laundromat Millionaire.
Jordan at Laundromat Research. No, that if there is ever a question that needs the answer of it depends, it might be that one.
yeah, it's a big it depends Nazir. Sorry we could not answer, but thank you guys so much for joining us. Dave, my pleasure having you on as always. Cannot wait to be on your channel next week. Make sure you go subscribe to Dave. And not only that, he was talking about letting people know about our live Q&As and inviting them. We do appreciate you doing that, but do me a favor. I'm like probably more excited than Dave that he's almost at 1,000. So if you can refer his YouTube channel to anyone else, man, let's get him to 1,000 because I'm just really excited to have an online party or something about him crossing that 1,000 mark. All right, guys, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Appreciate it. And we'll see you next month. Well, I'm sure we'll see you on our podcasts or on the forums or in the Facebook groups or on the webinars or whatever. But we'll see you here next week or next month on Dave's Laundromat Millionaire channel. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you all. Love you all.